transportation and we don't go anywhere. The next committee is the training committee. We need to start our own training schools. Not the ones that exist in the schools, but we need to start training schools that will go to the different type of futuristic jobs that's going to be coming up. We need to look at the kind that's going to be coming up and train our kids to those. A lot of them are a lot of electronic processes. We need to have the kind of schools that will get them into the areas that they can have a better life, even if they don't go off to college. Entrepreneurialism, all of it is the kind of things that we need to promote. We need our own training schools. Housing, we need a committee that sits down and deal with helping people get into housing. We need people, all our real estate agents to come together as one. We need to find those homes and match people with them. We need to find those banks and those investment people that's willing to help our people get into these homes and help marry them. Those are the kind of things that we need. We need body building structures in our community. Property, it's not the same as housing. It's all kind of black property in our community. Became the vision, taking that training school and taking 10 brothers to have different entrepreneurial concepts and getting this warehouse and cleaning this warehouse up and setting up a business proposal and a program for those 10 brothers to exist in one place and help get them off the ground and then go do another and do another and do another until we occupy these empty warehouses and buildings and create the kind of economic base that we can control in our own community. Law. We need every lawyer, black lawyer and law firm to come to the table with a database to be able to handle every legal position, any kind of law. We need those brothers and sisters to come and be available for whatever we need in any one of these 12 communities. We need to have them along with a justice committee, which is our advocates. NAACP, the Urban League, we can name a variety of organizations and individuals that are still out there. And our state speaking for us, jousting for us. We need to have our justice committee come to the table to stop dealing with some of the laws and the changes that we need to make in our community through legislation in our city hall. We need to have a database of power, and each one of them will do that. The next committee is business, that goes along with the housing and property and investment. We need to be able to create our own economic base. We need to have a business committee that will create every type of business proposal that when a brother or sister come along and say, we got that proposal already for you. We already got the details worked out. We're gonna help you get into this. Investment. The investment committee that finds. I see on TV on public education station, every time they do a program, they list 10 or 20 investors, families that have endowments and grants and things. We need to have an investment committee that lists everyone that's available so they can shift into whatever committee that we need. They're out there, but we need to be able to have a database so we can pull them in and share them with ourselves so that we can grow economically. The last one, to me, is one of the most important. It's investors, it's volunteers. Volunteers will fill all these committees as a work process. But all the people that don't have the skills to sit in and be a process of running 12 committees, we need them to fill the gap of the work needs. We need them to come in and help with everything that they can. Those are the 12 committees, those are the possibilities. If we create those 12 committees in our community, we'll be able to control our own destiny. There's no way that we won't be able to if we have that kind of power. When we put ourselves together, we become a cultural body. That has been our missing piece. We have always practiced culture and unity, but not together. We never practiced it together. All of us have unity. You know what I'm saying? We need to come together and start creating our movements and our efforts. We have a project called our Black History Project. African American Historical Society. We have an African American Historical Society that will take care of all of our cultural needs, collect the information about our history, put it out there through festivals, fairs, ceremonies. We need to have our culture go to work as one and create these things. We need to separate that culture from the rest of our community so that they can go do the kind of things that this is all about, presenting things to our people in proper ways, creating the kind of direction that we need to go in. With our Black History Project, it's about 30 years ago, some of you may know, it was a grant for $150,000 that created the Black History Project, which gathered artifacts, letters, and materials all through Connecticut about Black soldiers, 29th Colored Regiment. All of that was put together. There were Bob Riley, Harry, a whole numerous of us, Herman, and all of us. We were a part of that committee. I was one of the youngest ones on the committee. We gathered that in, those artifacts. We had them on display at the Civic Center at one point. They closed that down. We packed them up. Somebody has them. We need those artifacts for our museum. Okay, our Black History Project. We are the keepers of our history, along with cultural organizations like Around, Artists Collective, our libraries, the craft group. They all been holding us down for the years. We have people and structures that have been maintaining a lot of who we are, but we need to put it all together. Can you see a museum with our history kept on? A historical wall listing our heroes, our culture, our councils and ceremonies, and our organizations, agencies, and foundations, institutes like Amistad, Freedom Trail, Connecticut Historical Society, State Library, Wadsworth, and our Harper Public Libraries. They have our history in them, and they're scattered all over the place. We need to be able to put together the kind of foundation that brings them all together for us. So I'm suggesting to you, the Dr. John Rogers organization has a building on Albany Avenue, the old Northwest Jones office, located right next to the Artists Collective. Their plan was to go in there and present some of our culture. Our proposal to them in sharing is we want to help you build that building. And you can put together, the building, the first floor, that's our library with all of our books in it, all of our music, and listing of all of our athletes and performers. And on the top floor, a museum which holds all of our artifacts. It will be beautiful in our community. The Artists Collective next door, that's a performance center, our museum and library, right there in the middle of our community. These are the kind of things that we're trying to get together with the other cultural organizations in our community. And I'll get to how we hope to do that by the time we get to the rest. We have over 50 social clubs, and I got a list of them. And they range from the Phoenix Society to the Royal Hearts, and the Hearts of Gold, and a variety of other small cultural organizations. They are cultural organizations. They house men and women, adult men and women in our community that have the kids that live in our community. We have 20 fraternities and sororities in our community. Those are our educators. Those organizations need to be writing papers on ethics and moral conduct out of our kids in our community. We need to start engaging some of the things that we have so that we have a stronger base. We can raise a better crop of young people. Along with those, Black businesses, small mom and pop entrepreneurial businesses, the NAACP, the Urban League, and more. Let us go back to together with the plan. this will be the name of our cultural building. Bottom line from everything that we're talking about here is we need to start with roots. We have a plan to be able to put every one of our cultural organizations in one building to work out, not to cover who you are or what you're doing, but to allow us in one place to emanate all of our culture, our social departments, and our mental departments, which we're going to get to, all in one place. This building, we need to have it named Dr. John E. Rogers Culture and Family Institute and Center, covering everything that we need to do in that building. And we need to run it like a corporation, dealing with every aspect of our life. There's no just education and housing. Every aspect of our life that you can think of, anybody can think of, is areas that we need to improve on and to work on. Respect due to the historians, past and present. They're still holding it down. And the ones here and here tonight, their hearts are why you're here. Here because you're dedicated. We have the rest of us, activists, culturalists, and mentors. We are all dedicated. And we have our holidays, festivals, fairs that take place in our centers, our halls, and our homes, graduations, parades, and ceremonies, and our deceased. They line the streets of our hearts every day. We feel for them, we know them, we're not putting them to rest the right way. We need to honor them in a better light. We have a cultural centers already, always been doing. We need them to keep existing. We need a building. This is not about a physical building. The first thing we need is a home. Our home is unity. We have to create that first. It has to be the basis of who we are and how we operate. Because with unity, see, there's no Indian hat. Everybody in our culture is a tool in our cultural tool belt. Everybody has a different way that they can add to things that we need in our community. I'm not going to take much longer. We're trying to wrap this up. We are pieces of our cultural puzzle. We could create a beautiful working home. Remember what I said as a people, we will determine the destiny of our black community. And you all remember at some point saying that, or hear somebody saying that, and thinking at that time, the job was going to be done, the statement was made. We still have not completed the process. Let us go back to the plan. Cultural organization needs us, social department, the 12 committees. They can work. It's the only way that we're going to be able to work. Then we have the mentoring department. Our mentoring department is based on all of our churches and social clubs, all of our businesses and agencies. Every one of those groups of our people are mentors. We need to get back to our social clubs and our churches running physical programs for our kids. These are their kids. All the kids in this community belong to all those agencies and organizations that we have. And we need to be able to control our own kids. If we want to take this next generation and make sure that they're not spoiled like the generation that's out there, then we have to grow this crop a lot better. We have to control them in an environment that gives them not just physical programs, but the educational programs that go along. Everything that we're going to do physically is going to be an educational concept to it. We need as many educational programs run out of our mentoring department as physical, but we need them both. Our kids need to be able to deal with physical structures to be able to make sure their bodies grow strong. Schools are not dealing with it anymore. At home, they're sitting on their phones, they're sitting in the house, playing games. But we need to expand ourselves out to our public. Let us consider the options and the possibilities. Presently, we have nothing. This is about our future and what it could be with a plan. kids' future, our grandkids' future, our community will have the power and the ability to work with our city in a professional way. The word I am looking for is unity. That is who we are. It starts with love. Let's do this for our future, our ancestors. Let's do this right. Nobody. Now, about the 3 questions. Are you down? This is basically where we're at. We have a 6-page paper on redlining. The redlining papers indicate, and I'm going to need help with some other people to finish writing this paper because this is what it needs to do. We need to present that paper to the city of Hartford as a unit that says this. We have been dealt with in some severe ways that didn't allow our community and our personage to grow in the North End of Hartford since 1963. Things that are missing. Oh, I'm so sorry. The things that are missing in our community through redlining was the lack of businesses, economic basis, the lack of educational quality, sending our kids off to college, and controlling the environment in our community. They have not controlled anything. Our kids are not running rampant because they're just like spoiled kids that are our kids that we let do that. And if we get in control of them, they will settle down. If we can control our own environment by putting ourselves in a position that we are controlling everything. We need a building. We need to be able to operate out of the building. And if this redlining is nothing else but present that kind of situation to the city of Hartford, out of all of what you did to us as a government, the city entity to its own people, 8 projects in this city. Every one of those 8 projects, the people from those projects for the last 2 generations have filled up Hartford. And they live here, and their kids live here, and their grandkids live here. We stayed as a people out of those projects in our city and held it down with little and low income. We are on fixed income half the people we are on fixed income allowance. So there's low tax. So we're not looking for them to come through with any kind of plan and come in and save our North End. What we're looking for them for is you give us one thing out of everything that you didn't do. You give us that building. We need old Bergdorf building on Fulton Street. We need that building given to us tax-free, free of any debt. We will take care of renovating that building and creating the kind of thing that we need in that building. It has 3 floors. Basically, the cafeteria and training rooms down there, familiar with the inside of that building. The ground level that you walk into is office spaces that we can run our organization from. The 2nd floor is where all of our cultural organizations can take root and keep going to those spaces and to run their organizations out of there so that we can be unified in the same building and working together to help with all the different programs that we need to develop. But it has the ability to give us everything that we want. We've asked the city for nothing. And they gave us nothing. It's time that we step up and ask for the kind of things that are ours, that we're not asking for. We need to demand it. Yes. But we need to demand it as a powerful unit, not as scattered people. But we need to demand it as a culture. We cannot do it without voicing ourselves as a culture. We want them to respect everything that we do. When we deal with them, we would deal with our mentoring program. We would deal with our cultural program. But that social department, those 12 committees, those 12 committees would deal with this city seriously if we put them together the right way. Thank you.
Mike has no idea I'm about to say this, but he worked hard to get you guys together. We need people to sign up and pick a committee. I thank everybody for coming today. You could have went somewhere else, but you came here. I love you for that. God bless you and keep you and everybody you care about safe. Thank you.
questions about things that I just talked about. I want to be able to, kind of answer anything that anybody may have want to know. Yes.
First of all, I applaud your efforts. Of particular value is the fact that you recognize that this is the appropriate time to move in the fashion that you're moving. And I say that simply because I'm interested in education. Oddly enough, I said something that made it sound like I wasn't earlier, but I'm saying now I am. As a child, I spoke, I thought as a child, but now I'm not a child anymore. What?
Okay, turn and face them. They can't hear you.
I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
Speak to the crowd.
Yeah. The point that I'm trying to make is simply this. And this was a really profound experience I had. I was working at the Harvard. I retired as chief of Harvard Fire Department and went into adult education. I teach adults how to get their high school diplomas and GEDs. All right. So, thank you. Thank you. So I'm interested in the education committee. Don't want to go into that. What I'm trying to say is this. I was working at the Harvard Adult Education Center until March 13th, 2020. COVID shut it down. Shut the school down. For how long, I don't know. Because when it shut the school down, I'm sitting around, I'm bored, I don't know what to do. I started working for the Census Bureau as a supervisor, all right? So I'm going throughout the city, teaching lots of people how to be enumerators. They're getting all the information. This is during a pandemic, all right? So people don't want to see us because it's a pandemic. There was no vaccine. You know, we're really afraid to be in each other's space, like you can't imagine. And secondly, the President of the United States was Donald Trump. They thought we were minions of Donald Trump. Yeah, they're like, you know, you work for him and you're trying to get us thrown out of the country. You can imagine, it's a bad time. But as I'm going through this, you know, not a job that I really wanted to have, but it's what I wanted to do at the time. I could not believe how many young people I saw sitting around just doing nothing. And I looked at them and I saw myself when I was a young man. And I really did. And I was able to identify, oddly enough, I'm 67, I stopped going to school when I was 14. I'm talking 50 plus years later, I could identify what my challenge was when I was a child. I suddenly dawned on me. Our kids are depressed. They're depressed. You're depressed. You can't even get out of bed, you know, let alone get an education. So there's a lot to this education thing, but I'm interested in the education portion. What I'm simply trying to really arrive at, the point that I'm trying to say is simply this. You've arrived at a solution at the best time imaginable. I'm involved in about 12 different organizations. Henry Hester.
Even more.
Yeah, he's got about 25. But I mean, you know, we all know so many different organizations are involved. And you know something? They have the same challenge. Don't look at a group like this and say, we don't have enough people. Everybody's saying the same thing. Yeah, so please don't get discouraged by that. In fact, there are more people here than most meetings I go to. You know, and it's partly because of the pandemic. Don't think it's because there's a lack of need. You know, the need is there, and the desire is there. It's a real challenging time, but, you know, stay the course. You're doing the right thing, and thank you for your leadership.
Speak on this. There's a calendar that we put out of the events that we do. It should be on out at the front desk. Near the bottom of that calendar, September, I think it's the 14th, we're trying to plan an educational seminar for our youth in the city on a Friday afternoon. During school, we want to invite all of the school kids, grammar school kids, out to Keene Park for a fair that's going to be full of tables. They have all kinds of educational instructions to them. All our educational agencies and organizations. And Henry and Brother Teal is gonna be working, we're all gonna be working on this and more. We're trying to bring the fraternities and the sororities in to show the kids they can go off to college. We want to, first of all, allow all these youth to understand what this education actually means that they're sitting there thinking that they're learning some redundant thing that's not gonna do them any good. The information that they're gonna be learning is not gonna do them much good, but the process of learning comes through repetition. So every grade they go to, they learn how to learn more, how to learn. The subject matter just teaches them how to learn. So when they go out in life, they know how to learn about their future and where they're going. I just wanted to add that we're going to be doing that. Anybody that would like to be a part of that, we need more people so that we can make this thing go. Because we need to go to the Board of Education as a group and say, we want our kids to come out on that day. We need to be able to express things to them. These are our kids in our neighborhood.
Okay.
I work in education, and there are a couple of organizations that we can probably filter ourselves into and build ourselves. What you can't do is you can't reinvent the wheel. If there are organizations out there that are already working on the educational committee, then what we need to do is we need to infuse ourselves.
Right.
We need to infuse ourselves in the city of Hartford. We need to infuse ourselves in the Board of Education, and these areas that you feel like that our culture will be pertinent. We need to infuse ourselves as a group. You see what I'm saying? I can be on the educational committee, but we can also have somebody that is actually sitting down as a part of the city of Hartford's educational component and be as one of the African Americans in a funeral family. There's so many things that we don't have to reinvent.
Okay.
In order for us to reinvent it, it would take longer, but for us to infuse ourselves into our community, it's so much easier. It's an easier course, and things that are already established, all we do is implement ourselves, because inclusion is necessary, and it's mandated by the city, so they can't tell us no. So no matter what, we're in like plan.
Right.
Inclusion is mandated.
Yes, so we'll be working on that. Contact me, if anybody, whatever you do with the history of our soldiers, military and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But we need more people working on that. We got time till September to really put it together. We need to have those old type of educational fairs that allow our kids to understand this country and challenges they have and what they need to stay focused on in order to reach their end goal. Any other questions? About any other committee, anything you're not saying? Okay, at this point, Sister Bridget received her African name last week. She wasn't able to make it, and we'd like to read her certificate, present her certificate to her. Would like to come up front? Camera. Family of African Indian Americans, certificate of African name. This process has to be read each time because it's like a birth certificate as well. Certificate of African name. This certificate is issued by the Communal Family of African Americans, Bridget Prince, this date, May 21st, last week. Honor our ancestors at our Hartford, Connecticut chapter. Congratulations, the bearer of this certificate, the bearer of this document, as a part of the rites of passage, from this day forward shall be known as Mawila Murali. The meaning is essence of life and one who enlightens. The language is Arabic, the country is North Africa. If you know Bridget,
Thank you.
I have any kind of congratulations. Spirit, that camera is Bridget's eye on our community. She photographs and reports all the things that she can and puts it on Facebook and other media to enlighten people what's going on, good or bad, that's being done to us. We need more people doing that. She will always record this. She will always be a part of making sure other people know what's going on. And this is where her spirit and her soul will never quit. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
At this point, everyone, the literature that's on the back table. Take a look at it. Read some of it. It will give you a little better understanding of some of the things that I was talking about. In any areas that you would like more information about, contact me, I'll make you copies of it. But we didn't want to bring all kind of literature. What we brought was a presentation of each one of the different areas. Now we have an area which talks about the communal family on a national level. And this is something I didn't speak about yet. The Million Man March happened in '95, the first one. They brought 1 million black men together. This organization that you are a part of, Harambe, put 2 buses in Washington. Harambe buses, out the 11 of them that left here, left Hartford that day. We went down and we took that pledge. First, rectify ourselves, and then help build our community. It was a beautiful plan, together by our black leaders and the Muslims who helped us. Now, the plan was to go home and build our community. Every community in the state of Connecticut that has African Americans in it have different issues as to how you build or deal with the problems in that community. So we came home, we've been fumbling for the last 22 years or more in an effort to try to do what we're sitting here still trying to do. 25 years later, after the march, is organize ourselves, unify ourselves, and move forward. We weren't given a blueprint or a plan. And this is the kind of thing that we're sitting here with. So we realize that we can't work together as a total unit. We can't sit in this room and decide on one thing. If we all have different issues and different ideologies. We can't, it would never happen, it's never supposed to happen. But we kept trying to act like the white man, excuse my expression, and do it in his repetitious way. We've been trying to organize ourselves and work together like we're sitting down with Robert Rules of Order. I mean, now, come on now, you know, it's a beautiful concept. But Kwanzaa is the concept we're supposed to be working behind. The 7 principles of Kwanzaa allow us to work together. And that's what we need to go back as the foundation of how we work with one another. If we can take our cultural past and use it to go into our future, it will help us with guidance. We need to know more about how we get to the foundational part. I've tried in so many ways all my life to get us to that foundational part of coming together and sitting down at one table. I've called meetings of the